Good, thank you. Not too bad at all.
Good, good. I'm
Leon,
excited.
you're
I'm excited.
mute. I don't know why you're mute. I think he's
Leon's making all of us look bad.
It is. Come on, man. You already shamed us already, so you have to look better than this.
You guys have to really step up, man, because now they're just thinking what's going on. All the other ones that have come, they've seen everybody's good on time, and now Leon's on mute. Leon, are you off mute now?
Hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, we
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Oh, fantastic. Sorry about that. I had a little bit of technical issues there, but we plugged in and ready to go now. How are you doing?
Your line's a bit crackly. Can you hear us all?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me clearly, or is that still crackly?
It's still a little bit crackly. I don't know if it's just me.
I can hear you fine,
I can
Leon.
hear, but yeah.
Testing. Is that clear?
Yep.
Do I need to change it?
I can hear you, but there's a bit of a crackle, but we can hear you. I can hear
it back, like just a little bit after.
Okay. What the only I've got a different type of headset I can use. That makes it easier.
Yeah, if you can. If you can.
Okay. All right. Give me 2 secs. Let me just get this headset.
That's fine. Thank you so much. For those that have just joined, welcome. A few people are signing on. You may not be able to see on your screens, but what I'll be able to see is attendants that are writing a few messages, or they're saying a few things based around identity, or they'll have a few questions for you as a panelist today. So I'll be relaying that message to you, and I'll be able to tell you, this person is saying this, or Jennifer is saying this. I just said Jennifer, I just said a random name. Yeah, Jennifer is the name I always use. But this person is saying that, etc. So I'll always be able to relay that back to you, because I don't think that you'll be able to visibly see that on your screens. You may or you may not. The panelists that I had last time, some of them could, some of them couldn't. Can you see anything?
Let me check.
They should be able to.
I don't know if I am actually.
Okay, that's fine. If you can't, I will tell you anyway what they're saying.
No, I can. Yeah, I think I can. Yeah.
Okay, somebody has just said hello.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I can see that.
OE, come on, I'm an English teacher. That's a typo straight away. Let's change that. Come on, Nana. Okay.
Right, is that any better, guys?
That's much better.
Great, Leon. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, yeah.
That's perfect. Because the theme of today is based around identity, what I wanted us to start with, just so that the rest of the panelists, you can introduce yourselves to one another, and also to introduce yourself to those that are listening in and those that are tuning in today. I wanted you to just go around, tell us a bit about yourself. I don't want to say the whole unique fact. It's annoying because you start thinking about, am I boring? Do I have things that are really exciting about my life? But it's interesting just to go around and just tell us a little bit about yourself. A lot of people have been viewing via Instagram, via website, and via Twitter, so they already know quite a lot about you. And we've said great things, and we've also outlined what is it you do and why you're passionate about identity. But we want to hear from yourself, just a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to the panelists and also to those that are tuning in today. So who wants to start? Ip, dip, do. Are we doing ip, dip, do?
No, we're doing ladies first.
Ladies, of course, exactly.
There you go.
The last lady on the panel last time, and they said the exact same thing.
Piece, Okay, so I'm Siobhan Watson. In my late 20s, don't ask me how old I am, but yeah, so I think mostly right now I'm a writer by profession. I work for the Sun newspaper in the Snapchat department, and I'm an editor for them as well. So yeah, so for me, it was a great call for everyone to come and choose me as well. I thought it was a really fantastic call in, and I've been seeing her episodes on identity, and I think it's something that we need to establish from young, I would say, but at the same time, it's something that you can't establish overnight, and I think is a thing you have to walk through. So I am passionate about identity as well, to be fair, and yeah, so I'm happy to be a panelist, to be honest.
That's fantastic and very humbling as well for you to say that you're honored to be a panelist. Very, very humbling. And what would you say what would you say, without getting straight into it, is part of your identity without us looking at you? If you were to say one thing that makes up your identity without us looking at you. Do you understand the question?
Yeah, it does make sense. I think, you know what it is? I feel like identity is is a difficult one. I feel like it can be very complex, but to put it down into like narrow words, I would say I'm probably somebody that's passionate. You will know that I'm quite a passionate person for words and for my profession and what I do. You know, I hope as well that people will see that, you know, that I love God as well. From my identity, I don't know, but I feel like, you know, on like the forefront, it's probably quite difficult to know someone's identity just like that. But I would say even my culture and my influence is also a part of my identity and family as well. So yeah.
Fantastic. And what's the one thing that you would say that you do that we can't tell by looking at you? So don't say a unique fact like, oh, I'm a woman, or I'm this, I'm that. A fact that, let's say, that we won't be able to know by looking at you. What is it that's unique about yourself that makes up your identity?
That's a difficult question, you know.
Yeah.
That's a difficult question. So something that's very unique that no one would know that I do.
Yeah. So, i.e., for example, we had a panelist on last. I'll give you a bit of time to think about it as I'm giving you the examples. We had a panelist on 2 weeks ago now, and she said that she played a piano, and we couldn't tell that by looking at her necessarily. One of them actually used to do judo when he was 13. So facts that we won't be able to tell by looking at you. What's a unique thing you could say?
Okay, so I would say for me, I'm very much into interior design. That's something that I don't really talk about amongst my friends and stuff like that. I think the things that people know me of, I think if you know me, you will know that, okay, Siobhan's a writer, Siobhan's done acting, Siobhan's done this. But I think there's certain things that I have other passions for that I haven't probably explored yet or whatsoever. But I think interior design is a passion of mine. I was actually speaking to somebody just a few minutes ago about this, and we were both like, oh my God. So yeah, I would say that, and I think that I'm very much passionate about interiors, what they look like, how they're laid out, and the aspects of even renovating a house. I'm very much into that at the moment.
That's fantastic. So I wouldn't be able to know that just by looking at you. So that's something that's quite interesting. Thank you so much for that introduction as well. And thank you so much for just giving background information and already giving us snippets on what you think identity is. Some people have already started writing in that what identity means to them. Some people have said that their environment plays a big part in their identity. Some people have said already their culture, their religion, tradition, and certain things that they are always connecting with on a daily basis. So it'll be great to hear from other people as well, as we're hearing from the panelists today. So thank you so much for that, Siobhan. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Love the smile there. Yes. Leon, next. Let's go next. Tanya's just gone to the K, so let's go next for Leon.
Hi guys, so my name's Leon Ferron. I used to work with Yvonne back in Carlton Warehouse call centre.
Oh wow!
It's beautiful to see the growth and the progress. It's amazing. Now myself, so at the moment I'm a regional account manager by day job. I'm also an investor, so I've invested in a few properties and trading.
Awesome.
So that's what I do in terms of work and going about and earning a living. Outside of that, I'm a pilot as well. That's one of my passions. So
yeah.
That's still a strong passion of mine, and I'm also very, very committed to ensuring that young people have the best opportunities that society has to offer. And that was once highlighted when I confronted the Mayor of London, now Boris Johnson, after the riots took place in 2009. Since then, I've continued on my work. I'm a board member of a new foundation that's been set up by a music artist. I don't think I'm allowed to say the name yet. Recently signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I'm still working really, hard on a lot of things that I'm passionate about, and it's important that we have these discussions to allow other people to share their thoughts and opinions, and also maybe challenge our own views on these subjects as well, because I truly believe the purpose of having these debates are to, one, be open to learning and hearing everyone else's opinions and forming, helping to make and shape your one a bit more a bit more better than what it may or may not be. So that's what I do.
Nice.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And to be honest, I remember that video, and I remember obviously we worked together in sales for a very long time, Leon. We were both going heavily for the targets on a weekly basis. You were amazing. And
I lost you there. What?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
You were singing my praises there, and then you cut out. I wasn't ready for that part.
Again.
I was enjoying it,
The
man.
haters, man.
The
haters. It's the haters, man. You know what the haters do.
I can't sing though, so I have to leave them to you.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing to see you. I know you said it's been amazing to see my journey. Sorry, Siobhan, I just saw you cough. But it's also been amazing to see your journey as well, to be honest. You've always been passionate. You've always been very, very focused at what you're doing. So it's amazing to see you grow and to develop as an individual as well, and have your hands in a few different pies, but still having that core drive to be passionate about young people. And I remember seeing that video of you confronting Boris Johnson, and I watched it again the other day, and I said to myself, I know that this is still in him, and he still is probably engaging in specific things like that, and he's still passionate about social change. So I'm very happy that you have been on this panel today, and I'm happy to hear your views on what identity means to you and why it's important for young people to know their identity as well. You can brush your shoulders off now.
Joshua, I'll leave that till later. So the question was, because my reception just cut out there. Just say that again.
Okay. Say that again.
Just repeat the question for me, because of the reception.
Oh no. I said that I just ended with, I'm very honored and happy that you are on the panel, and it's great to hear
thank you.
Say, about social change and identity.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. Last but not least, Kanu.
Hello everyone. I'm Kanu Onienze. I'm a science teacher at the Forest Academy. What was the question? So to introduce who I am, what makes me? What was the second question, everyone? What makes me me?
What makes you unique? You see, so basically,
what makes me unique? Oof. I think obviously I would like to give you a vague answer. Just saying me being me makes obviously.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go a bit less. So. But I think I wouldn't say unique, because you already had someone who does judo. I do judo as well. I play piano. I think you've had that.
Oh, you play piano?
So,
really?
I do. Yeah.
Wow, you've never said that.
No,
Are you sure
you've never asked, to be honest.
Come back again.
Say again.
She said, I'm not sure I'm not the same panelist that's come back.
No, I should have given those examples at the start. It's like we're in class right now again.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I speak 3 different languages. Obviously, being from Congo, I speak Lingala, I speak French, and obviously English. That's really it. You know, that's what makes me unique. That's what makes me me. And I think most importantly for me, especially that question is really important, because looking at me, I think you guys even reacted like, oh, really? Like, a lot of people won't know. For example, I'm a science teacher. If you see me walking on the street, you would never guess I'm a science teacher. You never guess that I love playing piano or I do judo. You know what I mean? That's why I think I'm actually honored to be here. So thank you for the invite as well, Yvonne, because, you know, I like having discussions and picking other people's mind, and to really hear what other people think, whether I agree with them or not. You know what I mean? So I think we've got a great, lovely to meet the 2 panelists as well. I'm honored to be with you guys as well. So look, I'm looking forward to it.
You guys can do a virtual handshake.
The Wi-Fi.
For the elbow. Or we've moved from that now. We can handshake, we can social bubble, we can do all of these things that are that don't even make sense.
Exactly.
Let's not get into that. We'll get through that towards the end as we're discussing. So, as you know, just before we go into the discussion, okay, I've just got Nana here. She said, what's your favorite song to play on the piano, Kanu?
Oh, you know what? I play in church, so I can tell. I mean, I can invite you to my Congolese church, and I play loads of gospel. So I'm usually, it's more French, so francophone music and gospel music that I play. So I mean, I can come on next week and kind of play you lot something at the start, the intro.
Don't get carried away now.
I don't know.
I'm joking. That's all part of your identity anyway. I'm joking.
Of course,
but no, guys,
absolutely.
before we go into the discussion, just to give you a little bit of background information, for those that know Life Creations, we're a youth organization, and we deliver workshops via, but we deliver workshops in secondary schools, pupil referral units, youth clubs, in churches, anywhere there's young people, with youth offenders as well, potentially also going into prisons as well, with youth offender prisons anyway, doing a lot of work with alternative provision as well, and it's all based around discovering your identity, knowing your gifts, knowing your skills, and so forth. Because of COVID, however, what we have been doing now is remotely delivering these services. So we've been sending the presentation and the PowerPoints to secondary schools, to head of years, to the heads of the alternative provisions and so forth, to the year 12s, all from year 7s all the way to year 13s have been benefiting from this. And they're allowed to then engage consistently throughout the workshops and throughout the PowerPoints and so forth. We then get some of our workshop leaders to call them and then actually ask them how they're finding the program. I know it's not what they're used to doing because they're used to Life Creations coming in and delivering the sessions and so forth, but we still want to keep them very heavily engaged and partaking in our workshops and in our sessions. So what we're doing currently is delivering an identity program, hence the reason why we started doing the sessions based around identity in terms of our lives. I don't know if you've tuned in to any of our lives. If you haven't, why not? Tune in, yeah, let us have a few more people tune in. And then we've also been doing the panelists as well, which is you guys, just to hear why you guys think that the word identity is so important, and why it's important for young people specifically. So not just for yourselves, but also for young people, because those are the core people that Life Creations are focusing on, those between the ages of 12 to 18. So just to start us with, what does identity mean to yourself as an individual? Because a lot of you have said a few things that make up your identity, unique facts about yourself, which I wouldn't have known by either looking at you, or even some of you that I know personally, and I'm like, what? I didn't know you did that. So it's quite interesting to see different parts of your identity and different parts of what you see make up yourself. I read a sociologist, it was the other day, I was reading about what his views were on identity. His name is Bomar, and he outlined that the three things that he connects with the word identity is three questions. So he believes that when you're thinking about your identity from a sociological perspective, this is that he believes that you have to think about where is it you want to be in life, who is it you are, and what is it that you want to do. So he said that these three questions are things that are going to then help you understand what your identity is and what your purpose is as an individual. So I want to know through the lenses of yourself. I've said it through a sociological perspective. There's so many different perspectives that we can discuss today. But through yourself, what would you say if a young person came to you and said, Siobhan, I don't know who I am. I don't know what my identity is. How would you define identity, Siobhan?
Well, I've been doing some research on this, right? So the English dictionary says identity, first as a noun, is the fact of being who or what a person or thing is, right? But like you said, if a young person was to come up to me and just be like, I don't know who I am, blah, blah, blah. For me, I feel like I said earlier, identity is such a complex thing. And I think it comes with so much layers. And from a psychological perspective, like you said, with the three questions, I think that's very important as well. But I also believe that to discover your identity is to like discover yourself and to know who you are and to spend time with yourself as well, and to like kind of understand where you're going in life. But I feel like it's something that is it's a journey as well, because you can live your whole life. There's people that live their whole life that say they don't know who they are still, and they're probably like 80 years old. So I think it's a case of it's a journey and not trying to be like, I have to label yourself so heavily on it as well. And it's also stuff like, I feel like our identity is stuff like that we're influenced by, like people we've seen, people we've been around, that heavily, like that kind of like heavily makes up who you are. And I think sometimes as people, we don't always know that like certain things that we've been influenced by has kind of brushed up on us as well. And you know, I've written a book called A Black Woman's Guide to Imminence. And a part of the book, I've discussed about human influence and how that shapes your identity, you know, and how certain things that's happened in your life that shapes who you are and whatsoever, and how that kind of come to the forefront of who you are. But I would say, like, for a young person to understand the identity, I think for me is particularly just to stay and like have time with yourself, discover what you like, discover your dislikes, and those kind of things can actually influence what you want to do in the future as well. Like T.D. Jakes, a preacher, always said that, you know, you'll discover what you want to do and kind of what your purpose is the stuff that you dislike. There's certain stuff that around you that you might feel like, oh, I would love to change this chair that I'm sitting on. It's an uncomfortable chair. Why is the chair like this? Why is it like that? Whereas other people around you will sit on the same chair and be fine. But you will be like, nah, this chair needs to change this way. Why is it comfortable? Those kind of dislikes might be a purpose into how you can change. What can you do to invent and do something different? You know what I mean? So I think it's a case of just spending time with yourself, understanding who you are. I think from a Christian perspective, if you are a Christian, pray, ask God to reveal things to you. And, you know, just don't put so much pressure on yourself as well, because I don't think it's something you can just find out overnight. You know, I think all of us here, even though we have so much things that we identify with and identify by, I think as human people, we've got so much layers. Like, I don't think it's just a straightforward answer. So I think it's about spending time with yourself, knowing what you like, knowing what you dislike, and just knowing like what other things have influenced you to say who you are today as well.
I think it's excellent. There's a few keywords I picked out that you said, which were journey. I think that we are very quick to, I love the explanation, by the way, absolutely amazing. I think that we're very quick to want to arrive to destination as individuals, as human beings, especially in this microwave generation that we are in. Everybody wants to know an answer now. Who am I now? What do I want to do now? And so forth. And I love the analogy that you used about the chair and the dislikes and so forth. I always say to young people that what you love and what you hate are normally the two things that you are called to do in life. So if you love to, or if, let's say, if you hate homelessness, maybe you were then called to build a homeless foundation or homeless charity. Or if you can't stand seeing injustice, maybe you were called to then build an organization based around that. Whatever is frustrating you or whatever it may be, generally that's what your identity and your purpose is linked to. So I love the fact that you said it's a journey, and I love that you've already started giving practical tips that people can start working towards discovering their identity as well.
Also,
somebody just said identity means to me. Go on, of course. That's why you're here.
So,
go on.
No, I was gonna say
I said that's why you're here. Go on.
I was going to say as well, even just like, I think culture is a very big source of identity as well. And the fact that
question.
Oh, okay, next question.
I love it. But you're jumping to the next question, because I was going to then ask you what contributes to your identity and talk about culture, especially with this current climax that we're in as well. So I'm just going to read what somebody has just said now. Identity means to me to understand yourself. This requires a lot of self-reflection, quite similar to what you've said, Siobhan. Trying as much things as possible, understanding what makes you happy and not happy. So you've already given a practical tip for young people as well. You said spend a lot of time by yourself. If you are a Christian, then pray. If you're not a Christian, but spending time by
cut off. Yeah.
Faded.
It's stopping. I'm hearing like stopping. Yeah.
Yeah, cut off.
You cut out there.
Can you hear now?
Yeah. I hear you.
Now she's gone again, mate. No, she's there.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
You back now.
Gosh, what is this? What sort of panel is this?
What do you mean? Now we're being good.
My son, and put inside the wires.
You can't blame us now.
Baby, you can't blame us now, man.
You've watched other panels before, and you know this has not happened before.
To be fair, it hasn't. To be fair.
I must have Yvonne, please pay your internet bill.
Say that again. I didn't hear me. You can't say the shot and I'm not hearing the shot. Say it.
It's the internet bill that you haven't paid.
Yeah. Someone said, pay your internet bill.
I've paid. God has provided. I've paid. This is just what you guys have all conjured. And who said that? I know who said it. I'm not even going to say the person's name. But okay, awesome. Leon, just so that we don't go around in the same. Actually, no, so that we don't go around in the same order. Kanu, what does identity mean to you through your perspective?
Firstly, great answer that we had to kick us off. You know, I mean, she even brought out the dictionary, and I like that because she done her research, and I also done a bit of research. I think it's mostly everything that she's touched on. Obviously, identity is who you are, what makes you who you are. But actually, so on the research that I've done, I think I've agreed that there's two parts to this. Okay, so obviously, what you inherit. So your gender, race, nationality, history, sexual orientation, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously what you create by yourself. So for example, our careers, our circle. And then, but I like to, those are what I researched. So I added another part to it, which are also your values. Okay, firstly, before I carry on, I don't think you should judge as human beings. I don't think anybody should be judged on obviously the first part, what you inherit. So your gender, your race, that's just should be, you know what I mean? We don't get to choose that, okay? And partly true with the what you create is obviously you can't judge anybody for their jobs but I think part of your identity, your friends actually decide that quite a lot. So I think your circle, the people that you're around, the people that you learn from, I think not that you should judge anybody, but I feel like that's what we're in control of. Okay, so so when I think of identity, I think those are the things that kind of make us who we are. So the people that we're around. I don't think my job necessarily makes me who I am, because I mean I would like to think my personality is enough to kind of do anything that I want to do. I don't think it would change me, but at the same time, I feel like being a teacher, I view things a certain way. So I think being a teacher is part of my personality now. I find myself just saying the most teacher thing ever. But anyways, so I think your identity is who you are, what makes you who you are. So I'm going to just keep it nice and brief. I'm going to wait to elaborate a bit later on the next set of questions. So who you are, what makes you who you are.
Okay, what makes you who you are? You said something like your circles. Life Creation actually deliver a program of us as part of the program. Pardon me. We generate a session around winning circle. So telling people the importance, young people, the importance of developing the winning.
Oh,
she's gone. She's gone. Oh, I'm gone.
You're back now.
You're back.
I'm back.
It's okay, everyone. It's okay. It's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah, you're back now.
I said based around the winning circle. So we actually have a session within the identity program for the young people based around having a winning circle, the importance of developing that winning circle, the importance of having the right people around you, the right connections around you in order for you to then thrive. So you said, Kanu, that it's all about your circles, your friends influence you, especially at a young age as well. And then I then said, Siobhan, I'm sure you have a part of your book that's based around that. Then I cut up. Do you have a part of your book that's based? Correct me if I'm wrong. Am I wrong?
Yeah. So I was saying, about human influence. So like what Kanu was saying about having like people that have influenced who you are. So people around you, even from your parenting, your like from school, from your friends, from work, like that kind of shapes your identity as well, unknowingly, but it does happen as well. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. And there's two things also I've written down, Kanu, when you spoke as well, that you kind of put identity and the characteristics into boxes. Some things were quite innate, biological. You're a scientist, so biologically.
So if I just elaborate, of course, obviously being a scientist, like you don't even need to be a scientist, but you know what I mean? We are who we are. We don't decide that, okay? So firstly for my parents, okay? So our parents make us who we are, in a sense, obviously. And obviously you look at stuff like your gender. You don't decide your gender. And obviously I said even your sexual orientation. Obviously some people believe that I believe that you can choose that, but obviously people have different views on it. So, you know what I mean? So I just put that in the box of where you cannot judge anybody based on those things. You know what I mean? If you're looking at identity broadly, I think those are things just should be, okay, wherever that person is, just let them be who they are. I don't think you should judge anybody based on that sort of category. So I said gender, race, nationality, I think history, sexual orientation, and then obviously I said what you create. Okay, so your job, your careers, your friends, your circle of friends, obviously. To a certain extent, where you grow up, but obviously being a young man, I didn't decide exactly on brand, but we don't decide where we grow up. You understand? That's down to our parents. Again, you can kind of put that into the box above. And then what I created into that into those categories. So I created another, so values. So what your values are, and I believe values are really important. I think you need to. I live and die by my values. So if I don't think something agrees with my values, for example, I'm walking in the street and I see something that I don't like, I have to say something, for example. Okay? I can't just walk away. I know people are going to be like, okay, just mind your business. But I feel like my values couldn't just, I can't just look at something that's happening and turn around and, especially if it's bad. So, and obviously it's got loads of values that I don't want to go into particularly now. So, so yeah, those are the three boxes that I classify those into.
Yeah. Okay. So going off the back of what you said, like I was just going to elaborate on what you were saying. As a scientist, you put some specific traits of identity within the biological makeup, i.e. you said your race, your gender. Gender is questionable because a lot of things are happening in these days.
That's
and this
true,
day and age that we're in, so people can be one gender and then they can change as they grow up. But race, ethnicity, who your parents are, these are all things that you have no control over, but they still make part of your identity. There's other things that you said as well that outline that identity can be quite flexible and fluid. It's not as fixed as we as individuals think, that you are a black man or that you are a white girl or that you are an Asian. Exactly. These may be things that you cannot change, that are biological traits, but they are not necessarily things that you always have to identify with. So that's something to also bear in mind when we do discuss our identity, and when we do look at biological traits, and we do look at sociological traits as well, that what sort of things are we actually linking to our identity? What sort of things do we identify with? And another thing you said, which was quite interesting as well, is that what we are, what we create, which I think that's quite interesting. Because when you ask somebody, oh, how are you, or nice to meet you, or the first thing they say, or if you come into conversation with people, they will start telling you what they do. And I didn't ask. Sometimes I will have a conversation with people and I'm not asking you what you do. I just ask, how are you? How's things been? Etc. And you're telling me so many things. And I'm like, wow, we really do identify with our jobs and our work and what we do and who our responsibilities and our roles and so forth. So that's quite interesting. I'm taking a few things from what you said. Thank you so much for that. Last but not least, Leon, what does identity mean to you? So looking through the lens of Mr. Ferron, how would identity look like to you?
So I read a book called Becoming by Michelle Obama, and I think is perfect for the identity, because I think it's an ever evolving process. You're a particular person, or your values are linked to a particular way, and then things change over time as you get older, as you start mixing in different circles, mixing with different cultures. So when I think of the word identity, what comes to mind initially is like my passions, what I'm passionate about, what drives me to do the things that I do. Then also you also have to look at your makeup. So I think we touched on it, which is effectively where the environment you're growing up in. When I say environment, we're talking about your the people that you mix with. We're talking about your financial status, because all of these elements, allow someone to be to have more choices or not. You know, if we think of your color, your skin color, it's undoubtedly right now, you know, it plays a massive role on your identity, sense of if you get an opportunity, and the majority of times, you'll see that makeup within an organization, you know, based on an organization's identity and what type of opportunities have been given different peoples of different color. Then you've got, you know, we hear a lot about people referring to, I forgot the actually just come out of my head, but you know, the different shades of skin tone that we have. You know, lighter skinned people are more preferred, darker skinned people, and that happens a lot within the African community, the Asian community, where lighter skinned is seen as a more of appealing act or appealing to the eye. So that then comes with social pressures, a lot of social pressures from someone trying to either want to have an identity that they don't already have. So we see that as well. Kanu touched on genders. You know, people not even wanting. Sometimes it could be a want. Sometimes it could be they feel they have genuinely been born in the wrong body. You know, I've understood that because I don't think I've ever engaged with someone to fully understand that. The only one that I can understand is someone who's gay, because someone once said to me, "Look, Leon," and it was a female. It was female, one of the girls that we used to work with, Yvonne.
Wow. Okay.
Remember that girl?
What's her name? Don't say her name. Be personal.
I love how you said, "Do you remember that girl?"
I'm sorry. I thought you may have remembered, but listen, look, she made it clear to me. She said, Leon, look, imagine if someone said to you, you know, you can't date women because that's who you're naturally attracted. That's what you're naturally attracted to. You know, how would you feel? And just because of what you see in today's society, that, you know, it's the natural route is for a man and a woman to be together. How would you feel if someone's tried to say that's wrong, you're not allowed to do that, etc. So ever since I started interacting with people from the LGBT community, it sort of kind of opened my mind to it, because before I was quite closed-minded. And again, that's because of the community that I was around. Once I started working, you start thinking to yourself, oh, that view that I had before. So I do sympathize sometimes when I hear of these, you know, old tweets coming up, you know, depending on how deep. But when you hear these old tweets coming up, we all know we may or may not have expressed our views as explicitly as some people have done online. And, you know, when it's back up again, it can sort of bite you on the backside, because whoever thought social media will be at the extent of what it is today, especially when you're at the age of, you know, 11, 12, 13 and those sort of ages, you think you could just say what you want and it doesn't mean anything. It's only until I realized, you know, what I say and what comes out of my mouth does impact me. This was just through, you know, speaking with family and getting into arguments and realizing that I can't say whatever comes to my mouth, you know, started to play an impact on, oh, okay, so this also identifies with my own identity. How you speak. For example, I own a very expensive car, right? If I pull up outside anywhere, I'll always get someone coming up to me saying, that's a really nice car, etc. Already, and the majority of times, I'd have someone saying, oh, what did you get? Dealer? What did you get? Exactly. And for me, not that it hurts me or impacts me in any way. This is what comes with these sort of things, but will never fit the identity to be the owner of the car that I have, because it's like they expect it to be of a different color, a different person, etc. So again, identity comes down to everything that you're surrounded by. But when it comes to how I view identity, this literally comes down to, for me, my passions and my drives, because they really do, you know, again, make me feel that I'm doing what I was set out on this earth to do. Also, what's your aspirations in life? Because at that same time, whilst we're all chasing money, being one of the fundamental things that a lot of people are aiming for, if you then turn that around and look at your aspirations, that usually isn't surrounded by money. It might be around like happiness or, you know, good health, things like that. So I really do feel identity is a really broad, you know, has so much areas to divulge into, but to know those key areas, that what impacts your identity, and and how you want your identity to be viewed at the same time.
Excellent. And I love what you said. I've written down a few things as well, based around, you said financial status, your economic background, because what I've realized as well with that is that class plays a big part in one's identity. So we can say that Black people and white people, they have different experiences, let's say in education or in life, just in society as a whole. But what I have come to realize is that when they are of the same class, the experiences are quite similar. So, i.e., if it's a Black boy and a white boy that are both from the working class background, they would then both, because of that class that has now placed them together in the same box, they can start to experience quite similar things. Similarly with a Black working class male and a Black working class male and a Black middle class male will have complete different experiences in life, regardless of them having the same skin color, if that makes sense. And also going back to what you said about the car, which is quite sad, but it's we've become kind of, I won't even say desensitized to, because within society, there's a lot of narratives going on. Yeah, there's a lot of narratives being reinforced on TV, narratives being reinforced through music, narratives being reinforced by a lot of media platforms that are saying, this is what Black people are, this is what a Black male is, this is what white people are, this is what a white person behaves like, certain stereotypes and stigmas all around that. And these are the narratives that are consistently driving society. So if you go against that, or if you don't fit into this stigma or stereotype, they'll be thinking, oh, that's quite weird. I didn't know that someone like you could have something like that. I didn't know something like that could be part of your identity. But that's just because of the narratives that are going on around. But it's really, really good. I really believe that it's an amazing thing to understand the narratives that are going on, but not let it limit you as an individual. So that's fantastic to hear all those three views. They're all agreeing with me. Thanks, guys. They're all saying very good point, everyone. There's a lot of noise in the background. It is important for young people to know their identity because it will allow them to carve out their unique path. Amazing. I thought she was saying there's a lot of noises in here. I was saying, yes, what? And we've got my culture is what shapes me, what I believe, what I stand for, my experiences and my purpose. A lot of people contributing, some of them saying great, good points from everyone. Excellent, excellent panel. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's fantastic. And someone said, Kanu, my boy. I don't know who that is.
hello.
And that's good. That's good to hear. Somebody has also said Leon, amazing. And someone also said Siobhan, smashing it. So a lot of people are liking this panel. So well done, guys, for your contributions so far. What I would go on to next, which you have all kind of spoke about and intertwined and said a few things that link together. What would you say that contributes to your identity? What three things would you say contribute to your identity as an individual? You've discussed it loosely and you've discussed it quite and summarized it a lot. But if I put you on the spot and I said, what three things would you associate with your identity as an individual? Just three things. So we can start with Manu.
It's a good question, very good question, a difficult one. Is all three things.
I know it's tough.
I might give you more, I might give you less. I'll probably say my culture.
Okay.
I'm a religious guy. I'll say my religion, and I probably would have said obviously now I would say I'm not a young man anymore. I'm a man. So I'll say my environment, okay, because I feel like my environment has finished having its effects on me, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's already made me who I am. That doesn't mean I'm not going to change based on what I am, but obviously I'm just talking about from the question that you're talking about. Those are my three.
Those three things.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. strong. I would like to hear also what the attendants or attendees as well are feeling. What 3 things would they associate with their identity as well? When you see me typing, guys, I'm just typing back to them. What 3 things would they associate with their identity? That's amazing. Thank you so much for that, Kanu. Siobhan, what 3 things would you say contribute to your identity? Just 3 things, 3 strong things.
I would say as well, culture, most definitely, because I think that's probably one of your first understanding of identity from your household and what you do, you know, and how, you know, your parents have influenced you, your parents have taught you certain things. So culture is definitely, and you know, I think that kind of makes you who you are, especially as a Black person, not to discredit anybody else, but a person that has, I mean, a person of colour usually has a culture behind them, a strong influence of culture, whether that be of an Asian background, African background, Caribbean background. Culture is a very much influencing thing. And I would say, secondly, it would definitely be religion. Well, mostly about God, my love for God and everything. I think that makes up my identity as well. Well, I hope so. I think that's what
we believe so. Come on.
And thirdly, it's hard to say a third one because I know definitely thirdly is my passion and my aspirations and what I aspire to do. That's definitely a big identity factor of me. But I would also say the people that I'm around, my friends and my friendship groups, have also been a big identity part of my life as well. So I'll have to combine those 2 into 3. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I love the fact that you said culture in terms of your house, in terms of growing up. That's quite interesting. You didn't just say culture in terms of, because I'm from this decent, I'm from an African background, or I'm from a Caribbean background, or I'm from this background. You said just even your house, and that kind of links culture, society, and then links the whole biological makeup as well, because the culture one has in a household is what they inherit. You can start doing things that your mum does. You can say, I hate that my mum does this. And then you can find yourself doing that thing because that's
the same thing. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, go on. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Me?
That's the first thing. I think we tried to speak at the same time. That's the first sort of exposure to your identity. You're told you're a daughter. You're told you're a son. You're told this is love. This is the definition of love in this household.
Exactly.
You're told so many things. So it's very, very powerful and very profound that you said culture is found in the house and not just limited to the foods and the, way of doing things, but just
because you could, even though we have, obviously, I'm from a Jamaican background, but I could live in a household that does not have any Jamaican influence. Do you get what I'm saying? I could have grown up in a household that is very British influenced, that is, doesn't have anything about our cuisines and our Jamaican culture. You can live in an environment like that despite being from Jamaican heritage. So I think the culture does start from the house. And just before you go on, I liked what Kanye said earlier about having the different types of identity, and the fact that identity in 2 boxes, in a sense that identity is a case of, who you are, what your culture is, where you come from, your age, your gender. Because if you were, for example, to be called for a job, or when you're going for an interview, you have to tick those boxes. What color are you? You're this, you're that. That's your part of your identity. But it's also what you create, what is around you, your atmosphere, your environment. That category of having it in 2 parts is also important as well, to be fair.
I love that as well. I agree with that as well. The whole separating it. There's different forms of identity people study: cultural identity, social identity, personal identity. It's endless. Like you said at the very beginning, Siobhan, as well, there's layers to this as well. There's layers. It's quite a complex concept that people talk about. Leon, okay, let me just read what somebody has just said. Personality, culture, and vision of where I would like to be. Vision because you know where you want to go in life and who you want / need to be to get there. That's very, very powerful. That's from Iffy. That's amazing. And
Iffy. Ooh.
yeah.
Right, that answer, mate.
And another person said culture as well, religion, values is what drives them. One other person said that they're Muslim, so them being a Muslim is what then creates what they want to do or what they're interested in and not interested in, because that's the lens in which they view life through, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Leon, if you were to give, what contributing factors would you say align with your identity? What 3 things would you say mainly have shaped your identity as a young male?
Well, as I said, identity is like, I see it as a constantly evolving thing. So
Yes, yeah, I love that.
it's changed quite a bit, actually. But some of it hasn't changed. So I think one of them, which no one has said in this group, is money. Money is part of my identity.
You've always been so focused on that. Let me. That's from the days of
Why?
I like that.
Go on.
That's interesting.
Money,
As
many people may say, look, money is the root of all evil. I mean, it
the
depends
love
on
for money. It's the love for money.
Yeah.
Everybody always misquotes that. It's the love for money. It's not evil itself. Yeah.
Now, the reason why part of my identity is my money is because, one, I want to be able to provide choices for my family, and that's what I see can happen if you have, finances or a good amount of finance credit behind you. There's so much opportunity to lose out on when you don't have good credit, or so much opportunities you lose if you don't, if you haven't managed your money well. So we're not talking about large. It doesn't have to be large sums of money as a individual thing, but for me personally, it's about one, under the bracket of money are money management, and just being able to provide choices. Now, when I say choices, that probably means having a large amount of money, but it really is that, only because, for example, I want to give my daughter the best start in life, and she's only going to get that, if I can, put her in front of the right events or the right organizations and all that sort of stuff. And sometimes, fortunately, those events, you have to pay for. So I see that element of identity. As everyone has said, your culture and where you come from. When you hear of families that have been adopted, or children that have been adopted, they're always wanting to know about, their identity. That obviously stems from their family history, where they come from. Watching a program, again, I can't remember what the name of the movie is, but this was an Asian boy who was adopted by a white family, and they adopted him because he was an asylum seeker, and you could just felt that his family were amazing. He had a white family, but they were absolutely phenomenal, and he just wanted to go back and find out, more about his identity, where he came from. And he managed to catch up with his mother, his birth mother again, and it was amazing. All of them all came together. So his adopted mother, his adopted father, and his mother, his biological mother. And again, I remember wanting to go back to Trinidad and Tobago. That's where, half of my family's from, and the other side is Dominica, which I'm yet to go to. So I went back to Trinidad by myself, and stayed with my grand sister, and I learned so much from just being out in the country. Again, as we talk about the culture, and it was only after a while I started to understand, just the aspect of being in different countries, and different laws and all of that stuff. So again, that helped me even further to grow my understanding of what my identity was at the time. And then last but not least, in terms of identity, I'll definitely say my personal aspirations and passions, because again, look, if I couldn't continue being a pilot, that's going to have a massive impact on my on my life, really. That's a quite expensive hobby, so I've got to fund it somehow. So you've got my passions, and yeah, that would be definitely my strongest 3 passions: family, your foundation, where you come from, and at the moment, money. But again, I may have enough money one day to say, do you know what, at this present time, I've made so much that it's not now anymore. I'm on, you know, doing some philanthropy or, you know, some different type of work, you know, which kind of drive that time. So that's why I always say it's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
This present time, that's where my, what I would class as my identity. See for me.
That's amazing. And I like how you said one day you may have enough money. I've forgotten what song it's from. I think it's either Rick Ross or Meek Mills, and it's too much money ain't enough money, like it will never be enough. It's never gonna be enough. So I forgot. I think that's actually I'm On One by Drake. I'm On One, and it's either Drake, one of them three. I'll double check after, but they say too much money ain't enough money. But Rick Ross's voice is coming into my head, so I think it's Rick Ross. But I love the fact that you said finances, because it provides opportunities. You give your child different opportunities because of the financial empowerment that you have. And I like how you broke it down into money management and credit, because we're not taught these things in school. And at Life Creation, not just to plug us, but yeah, we Life Creation also actually run a summer session, a summer program. We've done it now for about 4 years, and it's based around things schools don't teach you. And we teach young people things like financial management, writing your CV, building your CV, the importance of a good credit history and a good credit score as well, building your own business and saving, investing and spending and knowing how to manage your money from a very, very young age. But nobody ever taught us that in school. So where did that desire come from for you? Because when I first met you, it's like you've had the same mindset, but it's just intensified and developed. So when I first met you, you've always been on finances. Where did that desire to be financially stable come from?
Again, it came from things like what my identity is, where I was really wanting to be a pilot. At that time, I wasn't. And the thing was that, you know, I didn't have the money. And then I realized, like, it's an expensive hobby, but I'm not going to give it up. So I'm going to have to find a way to fund it. And then also, what really impacted it was the fact that, you know, I felt the way I grew up, you know, I never had, you know, financial support from my father, you know, my mum's struggle. And it's those sort of things that made me go, do you know what? Like, I'm not living this life when I don't care. How anyone wants to look at it, I am not living like this. I'm not living, you know, with the emergency light cutting off and all of this.
Yeah.
That stuff has to change.
Yes.
And that changes. You know, there's no one. My mum was on benefits for the longest while, and my grandmother was. She worked in Sainsbury's as a baker, and I think her annual salary was like just over 13 grand a year. So I don't come from a family of wealth, but I did realize the importance of it and the opportunities it could provide. And I'm really conscious when I say, because, you know, if people can view it in a real negative way, like, oh yeah, all he wants is money, sort of thing. It's just But for me, as I said, it provides opportunities, and that's what I provide with my financial backing that I have behind me. So it's provide opportunity. It was only just the other day, there were some young guys that wanted to do a music video, and I ended up paying for their music video that they wanted to do. So again, that was an opportunity I could provide, because like spare surplus income there that I didn't need to, you know, use directly on myself, you know. But we talk about identity, passions and drives, you know, I felt like that was good money spent, because something that I wanted to see grow and something that I wanted to, you know, give back to, you know, put a smile on their faces. It made them feel motivated to want to do more. To work with those young guys now. So that's again, what great things you can do if you have enough financial support behind you, and used in the right ways.
Excellent. I love that. And I love how you link it a lot to opportunities and not just luxuries, and how you can empower. And it's a great resource. And people always, I know people always misquote it, and they say money is the root of evil, but that's not what the scripture says. Is the love for money, is that that greedy desire, is the love for it. But if you have it, it's an amazing resource that you can then use to empower people, and through that, like you're saying, that becomes part of your identity, that Leon then becomes a giver. oh, he's a giver, that's part of his trait, and so forth like that. Amazing, guys. Somebody just said, I like that, Leon. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be limited to what your family don't know. I like that. So they like that. Yeah, awesome, fantastic. And just because we've only got a few more minutes left, what practical tips for young people that are signing in today? A few of 10s and 11s actually signed in. I sent them the link prior just for them to actually log in and see what identity means from different people, not just myself saying this is what it means. So what practical tips, what 3 tips would you give a young person in order for them to know their identity? And I know we started with the end first. So Siobhan already fantastically at the beginning already said, meditate, spend time by yourself. What 3 tips would you have given your younger self to discover their identity? Although we know it's an evolving concept, it's something that's constantly growing. There was even a meme and a quote that says that if you see me today and you didn't see me 2 weeks ago, you don't know me because I've leveled up. I'm always changing. And I saw that and I laugh, but it's the truth. It's the truth because you are always changing and developing if that's your passion.
Yeah.
And I know all 3 of you are people of great passion and of great and honestly,
we missed that. It sounded like you said something really good.
Yeah, you cut off.
It's always when she say nice things about us.
The
I said something so passionate.
Exactly.
I said something so passionate, and all of you just looked at me like, and I thought, what, damn, like that deserved a bit like a clap. And then I realized the internet connection went. So I said that who you were today is completely different to who you were before COVID happened. Like who I am as an individual now. I was even saying it to Siobhan earlier before, and one of my friends, that I've started bike riding almost every day now. I never did that before COVID, so that's now become part of my identity. That I like doing that. But I never had that before.
That's right.
So I see that quote that says, leveling up. If you saw me last week, you don't know me because I've leveled. I always laugh, but I think it's the truth to an extent. If you're somebody that's passionate about developing personally. So yes, exactly, excellent. About change as well, Siobhan.
And just to touch on that as well, Yvonne, some people go on like, have you got those friends or ex-friends or just people in general that go to you, oh, you changed. Like to say change is not a bad thing, all right?
Change is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all, exactly. So if you got people that are looking at you, oh, you've changed, and you actually know in yourself you've changed for the better, don't be ashamed. Be who you are.
What did you expect?
You're supposed to change. Exactly. Exactly. You know what I mean? I don't know who the quote, but I think it's like Muhammad Ali or something. I think he said something about if you're the same person that you was 20 years ago, you've learned nothing for 20 years. And I actually agree with that. I think every day you should be changed. So I definitely
learn something new. Yeah.
Exactly. And who you asking the question first, Yvonne, because I don't
all of you are going, all of you like boom, 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 boom. So I'm just letting it flow. I'm just letting it flow there, and then I was gonna reel it in. Time, guys.
Okay. Since I started, I might as well go on. I'll start. I would say, so like I said, don't be scared to change, even if people
what would you have given your
I'll tell a young Kanu, I'll tell him to listen to opposite views. Okay, when I was younger, I was quite I don't know what I don't like to call myself words, but I was really stuck in my ways, and I always believed what I think is true. Okay, always remember that your brain is there to protect you, so not anything that not everything that you believe is true. Okay, so listen to opposite views, and actually now being a man, I actually go and listen to people apart from football because it makes my head go. Anybody else that has an opposite view to me, I actually tend to listen to them before I be like, you know what, be quiet, I don't want to listen to you. Obviously read, because it's important. If you're not a reader, watch videos or listen, you know what I mean, whatever suits you. You don't have to, you know what I mean, not everybody have to be readers, or go watch a video. Think outside of the box. I know that's quite vague, but I'll give you guys a quick example. And I can't remember where I watched this but this guy gave a really good example that made me look at things different. I think he used an example of a business world. So, women are forced to dress like men in the business world, just being smart. I don't know how true that is, but anyways, so he said they asked him to dress to put on a dress, so to wear a dress and just spend a day in a dress. You know, a brave man. So he said he went. It was around Christmas time. Went around town wearing a dress. He said, you know what? He felt really nervous. And usually when he's nervous, he puts his hand in his pockets. Then he realized he went to do that. There's no pockets in the dress. You know what I mean? So he's just like, he found himself standing in very awkward pauses. He's like almost identifying as a woman. You know what I mean? So sometimes things that we closely identify, and I'm very, when I get nervous, I put my hands in my pockets. You know what I mean? So it's because obviously I've got pockets. So imagine, I don't know, I was a woman or something. I'll probably do something else to show that I'm nervous.
Have pockets as well.
Of course, but I'm just talking just generally. Say a dress with our pockets, okay? All right, I'm pretty sure you guys have loads of area. I'm pretty sure. Okay, but what I'm trying to say with that point is, don't be stuck in your box, all right? Just always try to. Land. I'm landing. Exactly. Let me land. You guys, you literally shot me up in the air. Like, let me land. Now, what I was trying to say, just to cook it now, what I'm trying to think outside of your box, all right? Just think of the weirdest stuff. The kids that come, even as a science teacher, I always tell the kids, look, think of extreme things. And I really like that, right? Don't think of something that's just so basic. Think of wild stuff that people wouldn't think of. That's what I would personally tell myself. You know what I mean? Don't limit yourself. Don't think anything is crazy. Don't think anything is stupid, all right? Just think of whatever you want to think of. And, you know what I mean? Again, goes into say what you want to say and just be yourself, really. I mean, that's what I'll give. That's the advice I'll give my younger self, really. I mean, and don't change who you are based on the people that you're around. Yeah.
Yes, please. Can I go off the back of that? Because
go on.
if I could speak to my younger self, right, and hopefully there's some young.
Close your eyes. Go on.
That will. The only reason why I close my eyes is because I deep, you know, all the way back in those times, right. Whatever your desires are, and hopefully I'm speaking to a young person. So I look at the camera as if I'm speaking to someone. Look, whatever your desires are, follow them. You know, if there's around you that aren't supportive of it, then you go with where your heart is at. And the reason why, because when I finished secondary school, I didn't want to go to college or university, and I cannot express to you, every single person around me didn't want me to do that, or didn't think that it was the right thing to do. How many years? 2008. So 12 years on, okay. And I'm now in a position where I earn. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
I'm now in a position where I earn 6 figures within a year, and this is I followed my own path. All right. If you constantly paths of others, you're gonna fall off one day, where many young people have found themselves in, where they are in why they are there, and they will think about some of the times where their parents had influenced to do certain courses, and when they knew this is not what I want to do, but I'm doing it because my dad or the people around me was forcing me to do it. And it really can hold you back or set you back so far. And defiant, okay, and decided not to do that. Do you know, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to sort of confront them on it, because I've kind of feel it for them. But I've got so much friends who are like, Leo, you're doing amazing. Dude, look at this, look at that, look at that. And I'm like, yeah, but don't you remember you were that person? Most idiots in the world. Maybe you forgot, but I remember it like yesterday. And I tell you why I remember it like yesterday. I know how it made me feel. I know how it made me feel down. But I was defiant. I was so defiant, and I was such a rebel. And I was I align yourself to people that are doing things that you're doing as well. Yeah. I mean, Jackson was someone that I had aligned to. Now, he wasn't someone that I could, contact and be in close communication with, but I looked into a lot of his history, and that was what I felt I was aligning with was the rebellious side, was the side of me that wasn't always wanting to do things that everyone else around me was doing. And because of that, I kind of feel like I've got the greater end of the stick, whilst I look at some of my other friends and I say, well, you know,
What are you doing?
so,
You can't say that. You can't say that to your
That's
friends.
their identity, Leon.
there you go.
That's their
There you
identity.
go.
You can't say
But
that.
that's my strongest desire, only because I know I wouldn't be where I'm at today, you know, if I didn't decide to be defiant and follow my own purpose. So that's what I would say.
Love that, and I feel that young people need to hear that now.
They
especially
do.
today.
It's so important.
Everybody looks the same, acts the same, does the same things, and it's like clones. Society is just breeding clones.
Exactly.
Hearing be defiant, hearing don't necessarily listen to everybody around you, hearing that you should go and just be the best that you want to be and connect with people who are already doing what you're doing.
Yes.
Is a great thing for a young person to hear, because maybe if you heard that at a younger stage, things would have been, although you're in an amazing position now, maybe you could have even been in a place.
Yeah, I definitely would have. If I heard a conversation like this and I heard someone saying that, I would have been like, yeah, that's what I feel like I want to do. I feel like I want to define. I feel like I don't want to do what everyone else is telling me to do. Work for you or him or her. Like, so it must be able to work for me. I didn't hear that, but I was just following along with my own path. I said, I don't care, this is what I'm doing. But it would have been so amazing just to hear one person say that around me. But I didn't
Wow.
with anyone. I could just read up on the one person, which was Richard Branson at the time, who aligned with just not doing the stereotypical route.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's very, very strong as well. A few people have said, yeah, try as many new things as possible. That's what they would have told their younger self. And yet they're loving what all two of you have said so far. We're going to end on Siobhan now. What you believe, practical tips that you would have given your little Siobhan, mini Siobhan, when she was growing up, discovering their identity.
First off, I think I really like Leon's quote, because I was going through a similar circumstance as well, whereby, you know, the career route that I chose, a lot of people, particularly family members, were like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you going for media? You would like media is so difficult to get into, blah, 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 blah. And it was a case of like, it's either a case of I listen to them and do something that I'm not passionate about, or I just have to take the risk. And I feel that a lot of people, they do listen to parents, which we feel like is the right thing to do, but that might not be right for you as a person, as an individual, and might not coincide with your identity. And this is why sometimes a lot of people end up being even suicidal, because they're trying to fit into something where they're not even supposed to be, and they're trying to make something work just to like please other people. And I think it's so dangerous, because it can give you identity crisis, make you feel so down. You don't understand where this pain is coming from, but it's because not doing what you're passionate about. So I think it's really important as a young person to just sometimes know who you are as yourself and say, no, this is what I want to do. Even if from the outside it looks crazy, it looks diabolical, it looks like what the hell. Like, and I feel like when I become a parent, I pray to God that I can let my child be free to explore in that way, because I don't want to hold them back and make them feel they can't do certain things, you know? But so it was a very valid point. I would say as well, as a young person, I think it's important to take risks. I think it's important to like do something different from what the normality is, and you know, just try and I think taking risk life is about taking risks. And I feel like sometimes we play it safe just because we feel like it's the safest option to do. And sometimes safe is boring. Let's be honest, safe is boring. Safe is mundane. And honestly, it's safe. Don't get me wrong, you're protected, but at the same time, taking a risk, you don't know if you could fly or fall. And even if you fall, you will learn from it. So I think it's good to take risks as a young person. I also think that it's good to try new things and educate yourself in that way as well. And I think, try new experiences. If you can travel, I will say this is for people probably 18 and above, I guess, or over 16 who can travel. If you have a little bit of finances to travel, I know it can be expensive, I would advise doing that. Because even the other day, me and my friends were talking, and one of them said one of the things that she regretted the most is the fact that she didn't travel and do like a 6 weeks traveling and like worked abroad for like at least 6 weeks or like 8 weeks. So in her 20s, she wished she had done that at least one time, and she was asking us why had none of us ever thought of that, you know. So I think it's good to travel because then you learn different experiences as well. And I think as well, lastly, as a young person, I think it's good to hang around with different groups of people and don't be afraid to do that. I think sometimes when you're in your set of friends and amongst your people, like, you don't expand your mind. And I think when you hang around with somebody different, it allows you to have a different perspective and to see the world from their view as well and to understand different things. I think from me as a young person, I look back at my life and I thought, Siobhan, raw, like from primary school, you've had different friends, like you've had different friends for different needs. And obviously as a person, I feel like I cater to different people as well. So I think it's important even as a black person, low battery. Even as a black person as well, I feel like we find comfort in our pockets and comfort in our environment and comfort in our people sometimes, especially if you're from London and you're from an environment that is catered to multicultural places. So you might go to school with a predominantly black school or like predominantly Asian school. So you might just hang around with your people. I think it's really important as a young person to hang around with people from different cultures, from different races, because that can make you a bit more stronger as well. You know, I've known Yvonne for a long time. Me and Yvonne have gone to university together, and we went to a white university, predominantly white. So obviously for us in London, that's been around, you know, black kids most of our whole life, it was a bit of a culture shock, but at the same time, it's a breath of fresh air, so we understand how different people operate and how we as black people can maneuver in an environment like that and feel comfortable in ourselves. So I think it's important to go to different places and hang with different people as well, and not be afraid to do it, and not feel like, they're whack or they're right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that ignorant.
They're nerds, but it's cool. Like, if everyone's different, you know. So I think as a young person, I think that's very important as well.
That's fantastic, and I've written down.
That's so key. What Siobhan said, it's so key, so key. Can I just say the reason why I think the last part you said, where you're hanging around with different cultures or different people, whether it be white people, you went to a predominantly white university, right? Like you can have an ignorant view where you think all white people are racist.
Exactly.
By far. And it's just being able to engage and understand. Sometimes people are scared because they're like, oh, I don't talk with a stiff upper lip or something like that. So I'm not gonna be able to fit in. But no, you know, you need to network. And again, how to maneuver. I love that because I feel I have the skill there. I feel I have that skill. But when it's time for me to maneuver with people from different cultures, races, backgrounds, let me tell you, I know what I'm doing. You do that to me.
Exactly, man. I agree with both of you guys. Absolutely, man.
Guys, just take it away. Keep going.
No, man, I love that because that's fully me.
Right. And it's also important when you're doing that as well. I think a lot of us like to think, oh yeah, I'm gonna go hang around with the white group. I have to change who I am. I don't think you even need to change who you are. Like Yvonne just said, exactly. It doesn't matter. They will like you for who you are. You know what I mean? And you know, you got people that change who they are depending on who they're hanging around with. I don't really like that. You should just, like you said, if you want to go network with a bunch of Grahams and this, you should go do it with a bunch of iffies. And so I'm just using general term names. You know what I mean? Just go do it.
Breaking up.
You know what I mean? I really like your panel today, Yvonne. You know, I'm really open-minded. I think that's the way people should be. You know what I mean? Don't change who you are based on where you are. You know what I mean? Just change yourself generally and carry those values and the identity, your identity of who you are everywhere you go. You know what I mean? Don't change depending on who you're talking to or where you are. I think, you know what I mean? That's not right.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. I think it comes from sometimes even just you're fearful because you haven't been around those kind of people before whatsoever.
Yeah.
You're fearful and it comes a bit like, how do I behave? But like
That's
you said,
exactly what it is.
It doesn't have
That's
to
just-
be like that. At the same
Yeah.
time, you can just be
And-
you. If you're a decent person, like why should they not like you? Do you get?
Thank you. And fear, that's the you mentioned that's all it is. People act like that because of fear. You know what I mean? They don't want to find out who they are. They almost want to okay. I want to be whatever Yvonne thinks I am. You know what I mean? Instead of actually going to create and putting Yvonne's mind, okay, I am this individual. You know what I mean? So don't just accept to be whoever a person think you are. I tell that to a lot of young people. You know what I mean? They change. Oh yeah, but my friend think I'm a certain way, so I got to act a certain way. Then that means it's not your friend. You know, that means they're not your friend. You know what I mean? Or so and so. So wherever you are, just be yourself and just, you know what I mean? You guys have touched on everything really. I need for me to keep on talking.
All of you have done absolutely amazing. And I'm just going to have to round it up now because of time, because you guys are such an amazing panel. We won't stop. We'll be here till 8 p.m., 9 p.m.
Are you paying us
you
to be here?
What did you say?
I said, are you paying us to be here till 10?
You're not supposed to be exposing that on me. Jokes aside, guys, absolutely amazing, absolutely phenomenal. All of your contributions have been, I know this may sound quite intense, but it's been life transforming, if I'm being very honest with you. And being able to discuss what identity means to you, and looking through the lenses of all of you. A lot of people are now saying, well done, well done. Looking through the lenses of all of you and hearing what identity means to you has been extraordinary. And bearing in mind as well, although we started at 6:10, this is the longest panel that I've actually had out of the 3 panels that I've done so far. All of you have had such amazing ideas, and I believe all of you understand your identity of where you're at and can actually navigate and maneuver through society, and not navigate and maneuver because there's so many limitations and restrictions, but navigate and maneuver because you know who you are, and because you know that you're going to be able to carry that on to individuals, your children, friends around you, and other people as well. And there was also a quote that I read somewhere that when people go into a room, and it's something I started doing when I read the quote and then started going into a lot more networking events, is that go to a circle or go and introduce yourself to someone that doesn't look like you, doesn't sound like you, does not wear the same skin color as you, because that will allow you to then build your network. So that links in heavily a lot to what all of you have said, but all of you have been absolutely amazing.
You too.
Thank you so much. Sorry about the internet connection at the beginning, and then shouting to you guys saying this has never happened on any panel. And it's been absolutely amazing. So I just want to go around and give.
I think you need to have us on again because your internet kept interrupting. So
I know. You know what?
you need to have
people were saying things like, "If I'm pay your bills," like a few digs. You don't know if I'm going through stuff in life. Do you understand? What do you know if this is a tough time for me and I'm learning money management, you know, the Fed. So, you know, you guys better calm down with those sort of stuff. No, but we're just going to go around. I just want us to clap for one another. I'm a bit cheesy like that. I always end it with, this. I know, Siobhan, I saw you roll your eyes because I can see your face right there, but I was laughing.
It's slow.
well done, girl.
As we said, ladies first at the beginning, can we give Siobhan Watson
Excellent. Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for as well. Can we also give Leon Furron an absolute outstanding? I remember things are going out in lights very, very shortly, even greater lights than they already are in now. And can we give a round of applause to Kanu Onyenzi?
Scientist.
Thank you, guys. Now it's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you very much, honestly.
Definitely.
No, and I always end with, can you give a round of applause to Yvonne?
Of course, that was coming
join us again on another panel, and if you're not following Life Creations already, do follow us on our Instagram _Life Creations. Follow us on our website as well, www.lifecreationsltd.com. On Twitter, _lifecreations as well. All about building young people into giants. That's the ethos of building young people into giants through developing them, through allowing them to know their identity, through workshops, mentoring and tuition, and for them to discover who they are through our help. And not just empower them, like give them like, oh, you're so empowered, but actually equip them and give them tangible tools that they can use to then navigate through life and society. So thank you so much. I may have this panel on again with the exact same people. I can see Leon.
Are you paying us money?
Next time I will, guys. Next time I will. Because I would have paid my internet bill and I would have been able to pay yourselves.
I'm joking. It'll be a pleasure, of course.
Thank you so much and have a great evening. Thank you for all of those that have tuned in. Thank you for all of your contributions. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for the clap. Contributions. Thank you so much, Iffy. Thank you, Nana. Thank you, Patience. Thank you for a few names, a few people whose names are anonymous on here, and they're just.
I think we need Ife on here as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're gonna get Iffy on here actually soon.
I'd like to hear him. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, we're gonna get him on here soon. So thank you so much to all of the attendees, and thank you again for the panelists. Have an extraordinary night and keep being a giant and keep building giants, guys, because that's the ethos.
Definitely.
Wonderful, great. See you later, guys. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.